there's memories. Well, I think I was about 4-year-old when we moved down to Harryholme, and I can remember it was a very bad winter and we had a lot of snow. Building a snow house in the garden. That's the earliest I can remember, but just of the we made wee houses in the old hen house, and my mum had this maid called Molly, and my brother Murray and I we were having fun one day, so we dug up this hole in the it was the old washing green, and my mum came out and gave us such a turn off. She says, "What are you doing that for?" And we said we dug it to bury Molly in, because Molly was always giving Murray and I into trouble. So, but Murray and I usually were the ones that got into trouble.
Right.
Then we had.
So you're quite close in age, you and Murray.
Yeah, just about a year between us. So.
Right.
To say if there was anything, we got into trouble. Then, of course, I had to leave school and come and help in the farm because things were not just too good at the time. My father couldn't afford to pay anybody to do the work, so Betty and I, we did a lot of manual work, like spinning turnips and sneding turnips and feeding the cows and milking and mucking the byres. There was a lot of, in the old days it was heavy work, and carrying these big baskets of turnips full to each cow before they milked at night and in the morning as well, up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and had to feed them and milk them before you get started the milking in the morning. So it was hard work, but just had to get on with it.
Right. So so you really started doing that. I mean, I suppose you did some of that when you were already at school.
Yeah, when we came home at night we had to help, and at weekends we did help to make the butter. We made butter on the farm at the time, and Mother had all these about 100 hens in a battery hen house with them to clean out, and we helped my father clean out pigs and things like that.
So would you have preferred to stay on at school? I suppose it wasn't an option then.
Well, I really wanted to go to nursing, to train to be a nurse at the time, but I think it was just that they couldn't afford that and they needed me at home. So after the kind of worst of the crisis was past in the farm, I just got a job locally. I worked there was a hotel in Drumore at the time, and I did 1 year doing working as a maid, and the second year I did the cooking, and it was just a small hotel. And then I went and stayed and looked after children for a local farmer's wife till I got married. So I never got away to my nurse.
Right. Right, so it was a happy childhood, presumably.
Oh yes, we had.
Right.
And we used to go to my granny and grandpa's farm on the other side of Stranraer. They had a big farm, and we used to love going there on holidays. Couldn't afford to go anywhere else because of the big family, but we went to my granny and grandpa's, and she always took us picnics, and we had some good holidays there. Walked down to Stranraer with pictures. And
so that would be your
my mother's
family.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because
I didn't know.
Your other grandfather was from Liverpool, wasn't he?
Yeah, I knew my grandfather, but grandmother was dead before I was born, and I don't even remember my step grandmother. We never met her either.
Right.
We just had the one grandmother.
Right.
We had some good holidays there. We used to spend our times.
Yeah, so you had to make your own entertainment and amuse yourselves.
We did. Mm-hmm. We used to have long walks with my granny, and as I say, she took picnics, and we had some good holidays.
So who are you closest to? Is it Murray?
Murray and I were very close.
Does Betty
Yeah.
Murray, you,
Jane.
Jane, Susan,
Anne, yeah.
Anne?
Murray and Anne, I was
Right.
still very close to Betty and Jane, but I mean, we always get into mischief together.
Yeah, so none of you really rebelled, did you? I mean, you, or did you? You didn't really get the opportunity to rebel. You didn't go away and do something else, particularly.
Murray went to the milking relief after he left school, and as I say, my father was in a better position till he decided he wanted to go and do milking relief for other farms, and he went up north and down into England, and just to make a bit of extra cash, I think. But it wasn't as the case of we had to get out of the house, get away from it all. He just wanted to see a bit of the world, I think, and see how the other farmers worked.
Yeah. And then Betty was doing a lot of the work. Yourself.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Then he took ill and had to come home. Took epilepsy and had to come back. And,
is that Murray?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know.
Did you know?
He hasn't mentioned that.
Probably not want to see.
Oh, well, I'll forget it all. I'll forget all about it.
No, he's fine now. But I mean,
he?
at the time,
Yeah.
it was the farmer's wife phoned and said that he wasn't very well, so he came home. And it was one morning at 5 o'clock we went up to start the milking, and my father says Murray hasn't come back into the byre. And we went round, and he was having an epileptic fit. We didn't know what it was at the time, but so he had all these tests and things. He's on about 18 tablets a day just now for different. The tablets for the epilepsy caused hardening of the arteries, and one thing led to another. So he's got many different. He says that's what keeps him going, but he's fine. I mean, nobody would know.
That's incredible. He'd never mentioned anything. He'd never mentioned anything like that.
No, he just never says. I mean, just says, "Oh, it's the tablets that keeps me going."
Right.
But that was why he came home. He just wasn't so well. So it was a year or two before he kind of got him stabilised onto tablets.
Right.
But he's never, for years and years, never had an epileptic fit since.
Right. Goodness. Extraordinary. I'd never have known.
No,
actually.
no.
Yeah. So how old were you when you got married?
20. And Mum made my bridesmaids' dresses, and we had an aunt who worked in Watt Brothers in Glasgow who would get the wedding dress from. And my mother did, I mean, when we were young, she did a lot of dressmaking for us. She did all the knitting for us, made all our clothes, and they couldn't afford, obviously, to buy a lot of things because there was 5 of us. But she was very good at the sewing, so she sewed the bridesmaids' dresses and everything for us. But a year later, I had my first child, and I had another 3.
So you met your husband. You were living at Kilstay.
I was living at Harleyholme, yes.
Harleyholme, sorry, yeah, Harleyholme.
We met during play. I went to badminton and tennis and Young Farmers at the time. I had met him at badminton and tennis, but it was a Young Farmers dance. We kind of got together first, and his father was up here in working with the bank, and his mum and him, well, they met, when he was up here. So that was how we met. And about 3 years after I met him, I think we got engaged and got married. So Betty was married the 1 year, and I was married the following year. So it was a bit of an expensive time for mother and father. So.
Mm-hmm.
But we had nice weddings. I mean,
you married in Drumore, right?
In the Bottom Church.
Yeah, yeah.
In the wedding reception, and it wasn't Northwest Castle at the time. It was the Loch Ryan Hotel was the place at the time. So we had the reception in there. And I went up to Slough. It was just 3 aunts that had the farmhouse at Slough, and we went into a cottage. They did up the cottage for us, and we were supposed to stay there until we could get into the farmhouse. But it was 21 years before we got into the farmhouse. They just one by one the aunts died, and they just they meant to move out, you see, but they never ever did. So, but I helped on the farm until Alison was born, and then with milking and things. But after the second one, I just hadn't the time. But, so we just moved down to the farmhouse, and it was just 5 years later when husband decided to leave.
So, but you were married for 27
years.
27 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you just told it, it sounds a lot shorter than that.
27 years.
So,
well, I was 21 years in the cottage, and then we had 5 or 6 years in the farmhouse.
Right.
And I went to Young Women's Group. Actually, I started while I was president of the Young Women's Group, myself and another lady started the playgroup in the village, and it has gone on ever since. I was in the guild, I was in different things, with sewing class and that, but it was difficult to get out with the family, really. And then when my youngest one was old enough, I started to cuddle, and that took me out. And I said I wouldn't do it very often, but it ended up I was there every other day nearly at the ice rink for a while, and but I enjoyed my cuddling.
Right. So that was at the Northwest Castle then?
Yes.
Is that when they first had a curling ring?
Yeah, well, it had started a bit, I think 5 years. It had been open before I started. My husband, when he started curling, it was in Ayr, on the ice rink at Ayr. We used to go up by bus, I think, to curl in Ayr, but then Hammy Macmillan built the one in Stranraer, and I think it would be going about 5 or 6 years before I would go in to start to learn to curl. And it was Hammy that taught me how to curl. I'm not say I was an expert, but I enjoyed the game. It was good fun and very sociable game.
Mm-hmm.
Meet a lot of nice folks doing the gardening.
It looks absolutely great, actually.
Yeah.
Fancy having a go. I love the way they just slide along the ice, you know. And then the brushing.
Yeah, quite energetic too.
Yeah.
If you sweep hard enough.
Yeah. So you became the ladies' captain.
I was president of the ladies' curling club, and my husband was president of the men's in the same year, which was a lot of work because there were so many different things on and competitions, and we were always running back and forward to be involved in either curling or presenting prizes and things like that. It was busy and expensive, but at that time I was in the farm and could afford it. But no, it was good fun.
Right.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
So tell me about your children. How old are they now? And
Right. Alison's the oldest, and she'll be 35. 35, yes. She's got two daughters, one 10 and one 9, both at school obviously now, and she's working in TSB, Building Society. Her husband works with a big farming company locally, looks after the marking, the tagging of the cows and things, which is a lot of work nowadays with all this EEC rules. They've all got to be tagged and have their passports and things for every cow, and they've got thousands of them. So he works with Macintosh. Alistair, my eldest son, he's be 33. He's up in Moffat now. He did work on the farm when we had the farm, because his wife wasn't happy in the farm. They moved, and so he's up in Moffat. And he's got four sons and two daughters from different marriages. My daughter Suzanne, she got married about 2 years in June. She lives up in Kilburnie, works in Largs in this old folks' home. She's the catering manager, and she's 90 old folks to look after and to cater for. Just all the ordering of the food and that's for the cooking. Her husband, he works in Irvine in a big printing business. Prints all the labels for likes of HP sauce and tinned stuff and things like that. It's a big business. So. And my young son Hugh, he's on the boats with P&O Ferries over to Ireland. He's been on there for about 7 years now. So. And he's living in the town, threatening to come back home for another another time. He's left his flat and he's got a different girlfriend, so he's going to have to move back in here again. So
really?
I don't know what's happening.
Wow.
They're wanting to buy a house together, and of course when he gave up the flat, he had to bring his stuff here. So he comes off the boat today. So I'm waiting to see whether he come here or where he goes.
Oh right.
But he's been very good to me since my husband left. Great company, and I just to do anything.
Susan said that they've been bringing in a lot of Spanish crew on the boats.
Yes, Hugh lost a good job because the boat that the new boat that came on replaced the one that Hugh was on, and he just automatically thought that he would get on the new boat, but because of the Spanish crew, they didn't get jobs on it. None of the crew off his boat that he was on got work on that boat. So
right. That's the European Causeway, is it?
That's it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful boat. Yeah.
It looks nice. So I don't know, I've never been on it. Hugh's on one of the freight boats again now, which means he hasn't... well, they don't have a bar. I mean, he was the barman on the boat, which... it was a good pay. I mean, he got £200 extra a week for doing the barman's job. Obviously, the lorry drivers are not supposed to drink, so they don't have a bar as such on the freight boat. So he's lost out on his extra £200 a week.
I got a peculiar feeling I might have actually met him, because I was talking to a guy. I was on the European Causeway. I'd come back to Cairn Ryan, and he was saying that he used to work on, he worked on the boat before, and but he didn't now. He worked on the others.
What's his name? That boat.
But there must be others, I guess, in the same position who.
He's about 6 foot, dark, short, really short hair.
Dark. No,
very dark.
This guy wasn't dark haired, no, but similar thing. He'd worked on the other boat,
There's a lot of them didn't get the jobs.
and he was on the cargo boats now. Yeah.
There's a lot of them paid off too. They wanted him to take redundancy, but he said no, it was up to them to get them a job somewhere else. He would have gone over to Ireland to
Right.
to Dublin, but no, he's still there yet.
So, I mean, they all grew up on this farm up here.
Up at Slope Mill, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'll just keep that in the shot a minute. And they all kind of grew up farming as well?
My eldest son, yes, he was very interested in the farming. Youngest son, no. By that time, I don't know. Things just weren't right on the farm, and he was more to the catering side anyway. He just liked his. He was always good at school with his baking, and he'd bring back his gingerbreads and things like that. And he was more into the catering than he was into. He would have helped around the farm if we needed painting and things done and the gates done, but he'd rather have been doing his baking and stuff. So he went to the catering school,
right.
catering college. So did my daughter. She went to catering as well. She got a job with Mount Charlotte Hotels, and she had a good job there. So we were a manageress in a hotel for a while, and then when she met this chap that she's married to now, she decided to go to this old folks' home in Largs, just because it was near where she was staying. But she was into the hotel trade too. But no, Alistair was very good. I mean, he could tell you, if you're looking in the field, there's number such and one, that's her calf over in this field. He knew which cow belonged to which calf, and as I say, he was very, very keen on his farming. But when his wife took this depression and had to move, that was it. He had a big decision to make. So it took him about a week to decide that he was going to follow her. And then he went into the hotel business too. That's just the way it goes.
So the farm was run by your husband?
Husband and cousins. My husband's four cousins. There was two farms. There were just about a mile between the two of them, and they were both big dairy farms. And the cousins and he run it between them. There'd be 200 cows in one and 100 in the other. So after my husband left, they decided to take them to the one farm and milk them all. They had this, what they call a carousel milking parlour, and it takes 17 at a time, milk 17, and the cow steps on, and it's rotating all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And each cow steps on, and where you stand beside that, where they go on, put the machine on, and it just goes gradually round. And by the time it gets round to the back, they're milked, and you take it off. So somebody standing putting it on, and somebody taking it off, and these 17 cows just rotate, and they just keep going off, and it's quite worth seeing. But so 300 of them, they decided to just take them the 100 across and do them there too. So there's no cows at Slop Mill. Just just beef cows, and got sheep and that now. But
Right.
don't know what that was.
I mean, if you want to answer it, please carry on.
No, I don't know what this funny noise was. As if it wasn't right down. But no. We had hens on the farm, but just maybe 24 hens, just to keep us going. And then they had pigs earlier in the earlier days. Then we weren't allowed to slaughter them on the premises and that. Used to, do their own hams and things. And it was a cheese making farm too. We took all the things out of the loft and we made it into a snooker room for the kids. And then this girl came one day. They were, I don't know what she was. It was something to do with diversification because the farming was kind of going downhill. And she said, could you not go back into the cheese? And I said, oh, we've taken all the things out. She says, oh, you didn't? Because we never thought at the time, but we had everything there for the cheese making. But no. They liked the snooker.
I think it would be probably difficult to... I mean, unless you're really making a lot of cheese, it would be difficult.
Yeah, It was the big Stiltons. But no, it would be a lot of work to start again. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lovely farm that just sold up this entire Guernsey herd, I think they were, at Colthwaite in Cumbria. I think they had one of the biggest and best pedigree Guernsey herds anywhere. Very, very good. And they used to make their own yoghurt and everything. Cheese, yoghurt, all sorts. And they weren't making a go of it. It just wasn't making money, and there was nobody to succeed them in the family anyway. So they just recently sold the entire herd. It's a sight to see if you saw them going through the village. Each animal was just beautiful.
The Jersey cows, are nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about the story of your, your breakup, your husband when you were away, and so on.
Oh right. Well, this couple came down from Perthshire, and he was with Prudential Insurance. We got talking in the ice rink at the curling one night, and she said, "Oh, I knew your." She said to my husband, "Knew your father," because they were originally from Lockerbie, where they came from. And from then on, we got very friendly and curled together. Went to dances, went out for meals, and you name it, we were always together. And just gradually got this feeling that there was more to it than friendship, because she was always phoning and always sending presents and things, on his birthday and that. So I accused him of an affair. No way. He says, no, it's nothing. There's nothing going on. We're just friends. And eventually I said, right, if she's curling with you in the competitions, I'm not coming. I said, I'll just not curl. So I refused, and I thought it would just kind of end thing there. But obviously it didn't. So her and I were both put our names down to go to in this American tour. 20 ladies from Scotland, and I was chosen to go and she wasn't. So whether that was a good thing or not, I don't know. But while I was away for 3 weeks in America, it was all organised. They went out to this curlers dance, and they just made it obvious to everybody that they were together, and told my family, my father, and everybody knew before I came home that they were going to be going away, leaving me. So he picked me up at the airport, Glasgow airport, and I got home to the farm. Went to my bed for an hour. I thought, okay, I'll have an hour before I come down and give them all their gifts I had brought. And I thought it was quite funny that my daughter, she was working up in Fort William at the time with Mount Charlotte, and she was down, and she went up to stay with my other daughter up in the cottage when I got out of my bed. And so I came downstairs and I made a cup of coffee and just sitting at the Aga cooker, and he says, well, suppose you know everybody's talking about us. And I was talking about who? Jeanette and I. we're leaving you. He says, I'm going away with Jeanette. And I thought, I don't believe this. I mean, I just couldn't take it in. I asked him what was wrong with our marriage. He said nothing, but I'm feeling more for her. And of course I just thought, oh, well, just get out of the, just go to the milk and get out of my road, and let me think about things. And of course I phoned up to my daughters and they were waiting to pick up the pieces, and my family, my sisters were waiting down at the Betty's farm, and they came up just to be there. But that's about 10 years ago just now, and as I say, I just never ever thought he would have the courage to do it. Never thought that it would have lasted so long. I mean, they're still, well, together now, but it was just a total shock to me. And they went, well, I had to cook and clean for him for about a month before he went away because he didn't know where to go. He left. He was a major shareholder in this business, and I mean, the farm at that time was worth about the two of them together, $750,000. And I mean, he was the major shareholder, and he got a job working up in Kinross milking cows in a farm up there, and she stayed with him for 2 or 3 months. And in this big farmhouse I was in, it was full of antique furniture. And they had this sideboard about 8 feet, and it was all carved, and 2 huge tables that set 20 people, and different things I had to get rid of because I had to move out of the farmhouse. So I had Christie's there, and they were saying, why are you going to get rid of all this stuff? So I was telling them when the phone rang, and this was my husband to say, did I really want to move to Shanks? That's the other farm. I was moving into a cottage there. Or did I want to come up to Kinross? He says, I've got one here ready to leave me. And I says, if you think this is after what you've done. So she left, and she went back to her husband again. My husband came when I moved to the cottage and tried to persuade me to go back, and I said, no way. I just had lost all the trust, and I couldn't even bear him in the house. I just thought, no way. So, I had no job at the time, very little cash, but I decided it was better on my own, and I would get there. I kept saying, I'll get there, I don't know where I'm going, but I'll get there. So she went back to him after he got his money from the farm, and we're still living together, not married. But I believe not. He's not that happy, but that's. I have managed. I don't owe anybody anything, and I've got a good job, or 2 good jobs now. I do my nursing and my home health work, and I managed to go away on holiday every year, at least once. But no, it certainly was a shock at the time. My family have been good. I don't know what I'd have done without them. Betty and Murray and Jane and Anne, they rallied round. The words to my daughter's wedding song. Did she show you that? No.
No.
And she's written words to the Highland Cathedral. Come by the lovely hills of Galloway. I could show you it. And they're beautiful words.
Right.
Aye.
She's a poet as well. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
Right. She's studying. She wants to study photography now, I think. So. Yeah.
Aye, I know. I had heard her on about that when we were in Ireland last year, because she'd got this fancy new camera. And we were at Loch Ness.
Yeah.
And she's saying, I don't know what's wrong with this. It's supposed to self-set, she says, but these fancy things. She said, it'd be better with an ordinary one. But, I mean, she is quite interested, I know, in photography.
Yeah.
Don't ask Betty about photography, because she's hopeless. We make a joke about his photography. But, no, I'll show you that some before you go. And the words of the Highland Cathedral. It's lovely.
So you was just saying about
I just
the family, the way that they.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly looked after me, and for my 50th birthday, I didn't know they had organised this party on the beach. My daughter and son-in-law, they were supposed to be taking me out for a meal, but they're saying don't get too overdressed because we're not getting anywhere fancy. So of course, when I came out of Drumore and round the corner to Kilstay, here's this bonfire on the beach, and I'm thinking, oh. So they had all this a lovely bonfire and barbecue, and we had a sing-song, and Jane wrote a poem about my life, and it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed that night, but as I say, they're always there, and we've always been very close. I think they're closer now since this happened. But I couldn't do without them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, one of the things that struck me as odd about that story is your husband actually met you at Glasgow Airport.
Yeah.
And drove all the way back.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Without saying a word.
He actually took me into the halfway house at Symington? There's a hotel there. I think it's called a different name now. And we had a breakfast in there, and he never said anything. And he drove all the way back down, and of course, Suzanne that was doing the talking, and asked me how I would get, what the holiday was like, and we had had a trip round Boston before we flew out, open top bus round Boston and round the tea party thing and all the rest of it. So we'd been on the go for 24 hours, and I was absolutely exhausted, so I thought I'll have a rest, and then I'll come down and tell them all about it and give them a present. And as I say, it was then that he did come across it. But Suzanne, she said he had no intention to tell me that day because my husband, he was president of the Ayrshire Cattle Breeders Society in Stranraer at that time, and their annual dance was always the end of January, and they kept it back a week to the beginning of February so that I would be home to present the prizes at the Cattle Club dance, and he wanted to wait till after that was passed before he told me. And Suzanne says there's no way they're standing up there and everybody knowing but her. And I thought, what's he like? How could he do that? Even think about doing it. But and he couldn't understand why people was talking about him. After it happened, they just didn't realise what he had done. I mean, we were a couple that were always together, did everything together. It never had happened anything like this in the farming community around about here. It was totally out of the blue. I mean, everybody was shocked, as well as me. But as Barbara said, Murray was laughing about it, and Barbara says, "Don't laugh. If it can happen to Ena and Hugh, it can happen to anybody."
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Oh, I think all these old women that phoned me up,
Oh dear, yeah.
But you've just got to laugh about it now.
Yeah.
Barbara used to say, "I don't know how you do it, Ena. It would have put me round the bench," she says. "I would never have coped." But the worst was going out and meeting people after it, to begin with. You just think that everybody's looking at you and everybody's talking about you, and you feel although it wasn't my fault, you feel that you're just, they'll be saying it'd be hard to blame, but to go into the ice rink and present prizes the night after it was difficult. But everybody was on my side, and they just they understood, what I was going through, I think. But as I say, it wasn't easy. It's fine now. I get on with life now.
So your life changed quite a lot economically, apart from
Yes, definitely. Because at the time, a lot of people said, "Oh, it's half and half. You get half of what he has," and I'm thinking, well, at least I'll have enough to buy myself a house, and that would be fine. I can cope with a job and get something. But well, it took 2 years to discover that I wasn't going to get anything like that. To begin with, I was on income support. I got a job in the local caravan site, just doing anything and everything, cooking, cleaning caravans, working in the shop, whatever they needed done, working in the bar. And then I worked as an old lady up at Liswalt, an ex-teacher, 90 odd, and I looked after her for a year till she went into a home. And then I worked at Rockingham Hotel. It was for the owners, looking after the children. Then I decided I was missing all the life, the village life, and just not being involved in things round about here. And I thought I need to get something nearer home. So when the job came up as home carer, I thought, right, I'll do that. But as I say, in the meantime, there was times when there wasn't much in the cupboards and things, but I struggled on, and I just kept, as I say, didn't really have to borrow anything. I managed, and of course, in 2 years after that, they decided I wasn't getting anything. I got a small handout from him, which I have managed to save on and just put past. And, it's there if I need it, but I haven't needed it. So, as I say, I'm financially a lot better off now. It's taken a while.
So the home help job, what does that entail? Can you just describe it?
It's, well, obviously they want to keep more old folks at home now rather than have them in hospitals and homes. Each individual have different needs. Some will go to do their coal fire in the morning, make breakfast, sometimes do their ironing and that. But there are ones who've maybe had stroke and need help with washing, dressing, to go maybe 2 or 3 times a day, put them on the toilet. And as I say, each one totally different. We'll have to go and make lunches and do, tea times, make cups of tea. And we have more to the nursing side as well now, with this washing and dressing, and we're supposed to shower them. And the nurses are doing more to the kind of the things that the doctors do, and we're getting in, the more the nursing side of it. But as I say, each individual needs different things. I get on fine with the old folks. Well, they know me, a lot of the locals, because I've been here all my days. So they don't like, new people coming in. So we try not to change them. We have a girl who's, not long in the area. So we try and keep the ones who've been here all their days, to the local home help, so that they don't just, because they don't like. I know I would think twice about somebody in my house and in my cupboards, doing my ironing and that. So it's difficult for somebody that they don't know to go in there. But I think it just takes time to get to know them. Most of them are nice old folks. This old lady, 100, I looked after, and she said, "Well, Ena, I just hope that when you're my age," she says, "you have a home help as nice as mine." I says, Nellie, I don't think I see it. She managed to 102, I think, before she died. And a wee sherry. She had sherry every night. And if she had stomach pains through the day, she had a brandy. There's some characters amongst them.
Right, great. And so the other job you do is the night work in the hospital.
Maternity hospital. It was about 2 years ago. The home health work it comes and goes because the old folks, they come and go. They go into hospital and they die, and it can change from 1 month to the next whether you're busy or not. And there was a wee while that we just hadn't much doing. So my daughter's mother-in-law, she was giving up her work at the hospital. She was retiring, and she says they're looking for staff. And I'm thinking, I'll have a go, be a wee bit extra money for me. So I didn't get a full-time job, but I got part-time work. And I go in, it's mainly nights that I'm needed, and just go in, and it's 9 o'clock at night to 8 in the morning. The first thing you do is, like, we're told who the patients are and babies and names and all their needs, and make them a cup of tea, whatever they take. Just generally look after the patient's needs, and if the mums are tired, take the babies up to the nursery and look after them in the nursery through the night. Answer the phone, bring in new patients through the night if they come in, and help in the labour ward if I'm needed. Clean up everything after the baths, and wash the babies and give the mum a bath after they had the baby, and just things like that. Change beds, just generally housework, house.
Right. Well, it's quite. Must be quite an intense environment. I mean.
It is. It is.
Very.
Yeah. I mean, what night? I was on 2 nights ago when this girl, she had given birth 2 days before, but she was in the blues mood and the tears, and you just had to try and get her out of it. We took the baby. She was just tired, I think, and we took her to the nursery and looked after her and let her have a sleep at night. But it's trying to kind of jolt them out of their blues, baby blues and things. So everybody's different. And cope with the fathers when the mums are in the labour ward. The baby was born that she'd told anybody, and she just didn't want them to know, the papers to know. And they're phoning and saying, is there a baby? Because I went down from the hospital to get petrol before they closed at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Obviously it was going to be closed the next day, to make sure I got home. And they're saying, I hear you've got a mum in labour in there. And I'm saying, how did you know that? Because we weren't to say anything to anybody. How did you know that? Oh, our sister was in here and she told us, after the girl saying that she didn't want anybody to know anything about it, our sister went into the garage and told them. Because I said, if you hear anything about that, I said, it wasn't me that told it, because, we're not supposed to tell anything. This patient confidentiality. So your sister had told it.
Yeah. So how do you manage with the sleep? If you do 2 nights, I mean that.
Sometimes I do 3 nights, which is difficult. The first night I think is the worst, because obviously I'm working home help till lunchtime that day. I go and have a rest, sometimes a couple of hours before I go on. But we do have an hour. If we got peace, we have an hour in there to rest. We can go and find a wee bit and lie down. There's always got to be one that's obviously there to answer the phone, or just to be a call. But I never sleep. I mean, you just can't. There's too much going on. So, I mean, the following day it's about 9 o'clock before I get to bed here. I very rarely have anything more than about 3 hours sleep, and then I get up, and then I've got some private work to do somewhere or that, and then I go back for a couple of hours before I go back on duty the next night. I think the oftener you're on, you know, the more you would get into a kind of routine, but it's not easy. You know.
I would have thought it would disrupt your sleep pattern completely, then you wouldn't be able to
I'm
sleep.
not that bad, no.
Yeah.
No. I could cope. Mother used to say I could sleep anywhere, so.
George said, but you're only meant to do that when there's a stone at the back. Nobody told us that. Enjoy that too. Oh God, still only have to watch. They would want you to do it. I didn't know whether to sweep it for a leg, leave it to draw to the other one, what else? Nearly impossible. I mean, if you want to teach a child dance, really That's exciting. It's exciting. God, if we had got through to tomorrow, you wouldn't have slept tonight either. You've got your glasses. You know when you see the name on the board. That's straight line up. Which we also proved when we played. The good has been through the side of the line. Not that side. It's fun. I'm just waiting for you. I didn't realise she was being funny with the smile. I mean, I was standing there with each other. When I played our first Tuesday, coming in the
I started that one.
All right. Someone else that said that. She didn't see that too. She didn't. I made all the effort and I've written in and she's great with me. She's so nice. I got about 2 hours. Oh, very careful. Okay, on the road last night.